So when you hear that phrase personal freedom, like what comes to mind?
Yeah, there's so many layers to it. I think probably the deepest layer is like spiritual, and I think that really like lends itself to the rest of them. But for me, like the way that it physically looks or maybe manifests right now is just like an ability to work on the things that I want to and live where I want to and spend time with the people that I want to. I think those are things that I really want and really value in my life.
Welcome to the Personal Freedom Podcast. This is your captain speaking, Mac Dome. Somewhere between a midnight drive, a wrong turn, and a life-changing realization, you found yourself here. Because sooner or later, something breaks open. A relationship ends, a career no longer fits, a dream starts slipping away. Or maybe you just wake up one day realizing you've been drifting through a life that no longer feels like your own. And that is the crossroads moment. The moment where you can stay asleep at the wheel, or you can turn towards freedom. This podcast is for the rebuilders, the wanderers, the creators, the people trying to find their way again. And for some, maybe this podcast isn't about escaping the path you're on. Maybe it's about remembering why you started walking it in the first place. A reminder to stay grounded, to stay awake, to stay free. So roll the windows down, turn the dial up, and let's ride. This is the Personal Freedom Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Personal Freedom Podcast with Mac Dome. I have a special guest today, JobJon Caliguire. We met on Substack, and John, he writes a Substack on friendship, building friendship. It's called Friendology. Go check it out. And then also got in touch with John because he started a business last year that has to do with beef tallow in sunscreen, which is quite interesting. It's called Ritual Organics. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. And then he's also a freelance social media management or manager. So he helps people with social media as well. Happy to have you on today, John. Thanks for being here.
Stoked, Mac. Thanks. Yeah, Mac was like one of the biggest supporters and just encouragers when we were first launching our business. And it was like definitely a big step for me and definitely a scary one. And yeah, I've just found that the quality of people on Substack has been just mind blowing ever since I got on there. And Mac has for sure been like one of the real guys from the beginning that I don't know if you found one of my blogs or I found one of yours, but
yeah,
has just been a really sweet friendship to grow over digital spaces. We've never met each other, but yeah, Mac lives in Colorado, where I'm actually from. I'm from a lot of different places, but Colorado's kind of home base when I'm not living in Hawaii. And yeah, dude, I'm just stoked to be here. So thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, man. And I love that Colorado connection. It's always awesome when you meet someone that's from here or that's been here for a while, right? And then you're in Hawaii. How long have you been in Hawaii for the audience?
Yeah, so I first moved here in fall of 2018 to volunteer for a nonprofit. It was supposed to just be like a 3-month thing. And then I fell madly in love with surfing and with just the beach and the ocean out here and stayed for 2 years. And then COVID happened. And so I ended up moving back and moved in with my parents when COVID happened and was just like, there's a lot of chaos in the world. Didn't really know what was going on. And then got my feet back under me. And a few years later, back in beginning of 2024, my wife and I moved back here. And so we've been here for another 2 years since we moved back.
That's so cool. And yeah, if you don't mind me asking too, like how old are you? I'm 34. I know you're a
I
little bit younger.
I'm turning 31 in this month, actually, May 25th.
Okay, man. Well, I guess I'm
Yeah.
35, May 31st.
Oh,
So
cool. The
that's
dirty
cool.
30s. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
man. Yeah, it's awesome. So we got that in common too. We have our birthdays in May, and we're both in our
Yep.
30s. So that's
Yep.
cool. But yeah, I guess just to start off with, right? Like, oftentimes when we're doing the podcast, like first talk about, hey, like where are you at right now in this current season? What does life look like? What are you focused on? We'll talk about what personal freedom means to you, and then we're going to take a rewind back in the time machine to maybe where that spot was, where it was maybe that road, right? Of like, hey, do I go here or do I go here? That fork in the
Yep.
road. So yeah, where are you at in this current season? What are you focused on?
Yeah. Yeah. So I live on the North Shore of Oahu. Yeah, just rent a little apartment out here. We're like 2 blocks from the beach, which is like a lifelong dream of mine. And I own a business. Well, I guess two businesses technically. So my wife and I started this company called Ritual Organics about a year ago. Actually, like we just passed our year anniversary, and we make a beef tallow SPF product, and it's kind of formulated to be a daily driver moisturizer that also protects you from the sun. We created it because basically when we moved out here 2 years ago and we were just on the beach surfing a lot, we were out walking a lot, and the sun is just really intense out here. We were like, okay, we're going to be wearing sunscreen a lot. We definitely want to make sure we trust whatever we're wearing because we're the type of people that check the back of every food that we buy to make sure the ingredients are legit and simple and we can pronounce them. And we just couldn't really find any sunscreens that were like that. And so my wife Gabs is very crafty. She's like classic, absolute amazing chef, makes amazing sourdough. Like she's always figuring out how to do everything herself and do it the clean way. And so she started doing that with sunscreen and started mixing beef tallow and some non-nano zinc oxide and a few other things and made something that we loved. We started wearing it every day. Our friends started wearing it every day. And then eventually we were like, oh, maybe we should like kind of get this thing going. Like we could probably make a business out of this. And so launched that about a year ago. But before that, I've been doing social media stuff for a while. I kind of started growing my own social media page. Really, I've been doing things on my own social media page since like the beginning, like 2009. But I started taking it much more seriously probably in like 2016, 2017. I was like a photographer for a while. I did wedding videos. I was just your classic like Colorado creative dude trying to get himself out there on social media.
Sure.
And then I think it was fall of 2023, I had a video like really blow up and get like 60 million views. And that like completely changed my trajectory with social media. And all of a sudden I had a bunch of people who had businesses that wanted to hire me to do social media for them. So I started doing like social media as a freelancer and as a consultant. And so now that's kind of like 50-50 my time is like I kind of do 50% social media management, helping businesses out, helping do that for other businesses, and then 50% running my own business and also doing social media for that. So yeah, that's kind of the breakdown of it. But yeah, we have a pretty simple life out here. Like North Shore of Oahu is like a very small town and we rarely drive more than like 20 minutes. Like we kind of just stay here. It's a very simple life. It's just bumping into the same people all over the place. It's really tight knit community, which to me was like really refreshing. I really loved that about being in school at CU in Colorado. But then once you graduate and you're just kind of living in the suburbs or kind of the greater Denver area, it's like you have to plan everything a couple weeks in advance, and it's just you're lost in this sprawl. And here it's more like it's the same people all the time. Everyone's always over at each other's houses. You're doing dinners at everyone's houses all the time. You walk down the street, you see 20 of your friends. Like it's a really nice vibe. And so we love that vibe out here. Both my wife and I surf. And this is a pretty good place to be on the planet if you like surfing. And so, yeah, I'm just a guy. I was born in Boston, grew up in Illinois, but I think being from kind of flat, more somewhat boring places, I think I just had this taste for like, I love mountains. I love the ocean. I'm very nature oriented. And that's probably the thing that feels like the most rewarding, the most meaningful for my time. And so a lot of my motivation in business is just finding ways to like sustain a lifestyle of being outside and enjoying life.
Oh, I love that, man. I will say for the listeners, I do have John's product and I love it. I take it out when I'm fishing. I have two cool shirts too. I'm gonna have to get some more. We'll make sure to put some links to John's business so you can check it out, because I think that's the interesting thing. Just real quick, when you're mentioning that, man, like when I go to Costco, I check like the ingredient label of the underwear to make sure it's not full
Yeah.
of polyester. Isn't it kind of crazy though? Like it's pretty much anything that you're putting on your body or putting in your body.
Yep.
It's like if I don't know what it is, it's probably not good for me. So
Yeah.
that's a cool thing to solve for.
Yeah, well, I think there was just a very high level of trust for a long time of like, oh yeah, these big businesses, like
Right.
even though we don't know what any of these chemicals are, we're sure they've done all the proper testing, like everything's probably fine with it. And I think just in the last like 5 years, there's just been a lot more public awareness that like a lot of these chemicals and a lot of these things that are in a lot of our products have not actually been well tested over time and they're relatively new. And so we don't know what they do to the body. And now we're starting to realize, oh, like polyester might have some microplastic issues and might be causing drops in testosterone for men. And like that same thing is happening with a lot of ingredients that are in sunscreens. And so we were just like, okay, we're just not going to trust any of these big brands. We know a couple of very natural ingredients that we like are aware of that we know protect us from the sun. And so we're just going to make our own version of this that we really trust and love every single ingredient with. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of that movement because I think, yeah, these big companies is kind of just belligerently taken advantage of a lack of research and made profits off of that for a long time. And I'm glad that the world is sort of taking
Right.
that understanding back into our own hands and being like, we should know what we're putting in and on our bodies.
Yeah, and it's almost like too, right, with the beef tallow. I mean, it's going back to things that I'm sure ancient, leading up to probably like the Industrial Revolution and even after that, right? I mean, even seemed like a lot of things changed with plastics around like the night kind of after World War II when they just started mass producing. And you have to
Hmm.
wonder, I mean, I'm sure you found it through your research that like tallow is a pretty viable substance to use to protect your skin.
Yeah.
It's
And
a
there was a lot of the research that was done to sort of like debunk tallow was funded by these big companies that make moisturizers, you know?
Oh my gosh. That's so
But which is
crazy.
hilarious, but it's like, yeah, it's been used for literally thousands of years. It's like one of the most ancient forms of skincare. And that was like one of the reasons that we were so convinced that we needed to use it in our product was we've been using it just purely as a moisturizer for a long time. And it
Mm.
like completely changed our complexion. Like Gabs had like kind of a lot of like redness and different like spots on her face, and she just started wearing it every day on her face as a moisturizer, and it like literally transformed her complexion. And now she has like she's always had great skin, but her skin is like literally glowing now. She looks incredible. And I was experiencing the same thing. I was like, I feel like I just look younger. Your skin just feels amazing with it on. Like you've used the product too. Like it
Yeah.
just feels great. Your skin doesn't feel greasy. It just feels like moisturized and dewy and nice. People will like compliment me. Like people will come up to me and be like, dude, like, why does your skin look so healthy? It's like literally glowing. I'm like, dude, tallow, man. I'm telling
Let
you,
me tell
beef
you,
tallow
let
is
me
the
tell you about a
way.
product that I have.
Yeah,
That's
legit.
cool. I love that. Okay, so good background there. I love it. So when you hear that phrase personal freedom, like what comes to mind?
Yeah, there's so many layers to it. I think probably the deepest layer is like spiritual, and I think that really like lends itself to the rest of them. But for me, like the way that it physically looks or maybe manifests right now is just like an ability to work on the things that I want to and live where I want to and spend time with the people that I want to.
Mm.
I think those are things that I really want and really value in my life. And I have ADHD. And so something I learned very quickly growing up was my brain is not very useful at doing things when I can't see a very clear outcome that's going to come from it that really is obviously beneficial to me. And so I worked in the corporate world for a while. I was like on a marketing team at a software company, and it was cool, and it was safe and it was nice, but I think my brain and like just my soul was kind of dying working there
Sure.
because even if I had like really outsized returns on what I was doing, if I crushed managing this software's YouTube page, if I really grew their subscriber count, grew their sales, like I would get a raise, like I would kind of be able to grow up, like go up in this ladder, but there wasn't like potential for this like outsized return. And it was also like very inflexible. Like I just couldn't travel whenever I wanted to. I had to like, yeah, it was a system that I was a part of. And I think it was really nice being able to leave that system and be able to like do things on my own terms, especially because it feels like my brain is really optimized to do that.
Oh, I love that. So it's figuring out more about yourself and then uh, crafting a life where your potential can really be a part of that excitement.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that a lot of like since I've started a business, I've started to realize that like a lot of other entrepreneurs are also have ADHD. I think it's like a very common trait among entrepreneurs. And I think it just goes back to like we just continually fail at doing things when there's not like a very obvious reward or benefit that we're going to get from it out of our efforts, you know. So even like in high school or middle school like studying for the ACT or SAT. It's like I didn't really necessarily know if I wanted to go to college or not. And so there wasn't this like carrot on the stick of like at the end of the stick of like, I want this amazing corporate job and I want all the things that college promises me. You're just kind of told like you need to get a good score because that's good so that, you know, all these good things will happen. But I think my brain just needs like a very direct correlation between like the effort that I'm putting into something and the outcome that I'm going to get from it.
Yeah, and like having like that fixed salary or whatnot, I could see how that could start to get those thoughts firing up.
Yeah. Yeah. But like I said, I think a lot of those things are like maybe manifestations of freedom and personal freedom. But I really think that like the base layer that's underneath all of it that is probably way more important is just a sense of identity and belovedness and just feeling safe in the world, feeling like a gratitude and abundance, like you have what you need. Like I think that really is the mindset and just the spiritual I think foundation that if it's not there for me, I I really struggle to experience any form of freedom in my like more manifested like actual life. But when it is there, I think that's what helps me turn those gears and make the right decisions to get me to a place where I'm more experiencing it in the situation of my life, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well said. And I feel like we kind of already answered this, but we can ask it all the same. But just if you could describe your personal freedom story in a sentence or two, like what would that be centered around?
It probably has a lot to do with knowing that who I am is already enough. I
Hmm.
think I would just say who I am is already enough. I already have everything I need. I think those are probably maybe those are the two sentences. Like I think Psalm 23 has increasingly meant more and more to me throughout my life. And just that first statement of like the Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing, I think has been like a really important truth for me to hold.
Hmm. That's beautiful. I love that. I love that. That's
Yep.
great. Okay. So, a little bit of background, right? Talking about where you're at today. So let's take a rewind a little bit back to maybe where that fork in the road was for you. Like, what was that looking like?
Yeah. So I guess I touched on it a little bit earlier, but it really came to a head at this last corporate job that I had, like, which was really like the last W-2 I've had and since 2023.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I just was kind of going, I was just hitting a wall, I think. I was working for this company that ended up getting caught by or bought by a bigger company. And so just there was a lot of this like kind of corporate mush that just got put. So every system, everything that I was working on, even in that business, had just an insane level of like middle management and approvals that needed to happen. And it was just this like bureaucratic nightmare that I think I kind of found myself in. And
Mm.
I got hired to do creative things for them. Like I got to produce videos and ads and customer stories, product stories, that kind of thing. But even my creativity in those was being like, it was just so squelched by the fact that like there's this huge organization that just needs a million different rounds of approval. And I just found it really stifling for my creative energy. And it was also just not necessarily like a product that I was excited about. It wasn't a business that I was super excited about. And so I don't know. I look back at pictures from those times, like it was like 2022, 2023. Like my face is like puffier. I look
Mm.
less healthy. I just, even though I was working out, like I was going to CrossFit and stuff, like it just was not like a good season of life for me. And I think my soul was kind of dying a little bit. And the turning point really came when my wife's family is like huge into backpacking. They all live in California, and
Cool.
almost every year they do like a big family backpacking trip in Yosemite or somewhere near Yosemite. And so they invited me and Gabs, my wife, to come do this backpacking trip, which I kind of took as an opportunity to do like kind of a dopamine detox and really hit reset on some things in life. So we were up in Cottonwood Lakes, I think is the area in the Sierras. And we spent 5 nights up there, I think. And this is the crazy part. It was like 27 members of her family. Like literally her grandpa, who's like over 70 years old. And then she had
Cool.
some cousins that were like 4 years old. They're on like a gnarly backpacking trip. It was like 8 miles in, 8 miles out. We're in the backcountry for 5 nights. Like it was legit. And her family just mobs like that. Her mom is one of
Hardcore.
12 siblings. So like she has this massive family in California.
Okay.
So that trip was just a hoot in itself. It was really fun, but I spent a lot of time journaling and praying during that trip just because I didn't necessarily know what was wrong, but I just knew like I needed some sort of shift in my life. I just knew I was not living to the potential that I knew I could. And I just growing up as a young person, I had a ton of ambition. I was super creative. I was super like, I think I can do some big things in this world. Like I really wanted to like live a life that was a little outside of the box. And then I was just, this season of life was much more in the box. It was just like classic corporate world in Colorado.
Sure.
And so on that trip, while I was journaling, I was like, okay, what habits do I want to shift when I get back from this trip? And I think I set like maybe 3 or 4 goals. It was like wake up before 7 a.m. every single day for 30 days, run at least 1 mile every single day for 30 days, post at least one video to my social media on my Instagram and YouTube every single day for 30 days. And then I think I like, maybe the last one was like fasting. I think I was going to try to like fast like for 24 hours a week or something like that.
Sure.
So I kind of, it was no alcohol too. That was a big one. So yeah, I was like, I'm not going to drink alcohol for 30 days. So I kind of was like, I'm going to get back from the trip and just hit a reset, all these things. And that ended up being like the most transformative decision I've ever made because first of all, I stopped drinking alcohol and a lot of like digestive issues that I'd been having for like years completely vanished. And so all of a sudden, like I just felt immediately much more healthy. A lot of that sort of puffiness in my face went away. I felt way better energy, and waking up before 7 a.m. like felt like the easiest thing ever, which is funny because I literally haven't had a drop of alcohol since I made that decision. I literally was like, I'm going to do it for 30 days. And then it was so life-changing that I was like, oh, I don't think I drink anymore.
Good for you, man. That's great. That's awesome.
So that was really big. But then the other thing that was like really outsized impact, really changed my life was that challenge to post a video every single day on my social media for 30 days.
Yeah,
because I just got in the habit of telling stories, of sharing my life with people, of just forcing myself to be like a little bit vulnerable, to share pieces of my life that I hadn't before. And that was cool. And I kind of had this like a little bit of a bump in my engagement and in my followership. And after the 30 days was over, I was like really having fun with it. So I was like, I'm just going to keep going.
Sure.
And I think it was on day like 35 or 36 of posting a video every day for 30 days, of that challenge. I posted one video that ended up getting 60 million views, and it took my account from like 1,800 followers to like 25,000 followers on Instagram.
That's crazy.
And it was crazy. It was like it was a crazy thing. It was almost like people talk about going viral and just the experience of it. Like it literally felt almost like I had a virus in me. Like it felt because your phone is blowing up so hard, and then you like mute it because you're like, I don't want to like have my phone going off every second. But then you just have this like, your brain just knows in the back of your head that like 60 million people on the internet are watching you all the time. And then like for weeks after I posted that video, so many people would like bring that video up, and I would be like, oh, I actually posted that. And like, it was like 60 million people is a very large number of people. And so pretty much every person that I asked about it or bumped into and talked to where that video came up, like, it was just like everybody in the world has seen this. It almost felt like, and it was just like, this is it's a very strange thing for your ego and for your brain to handle, because it's, I don't know, there's really nothing like it in the human psychology until social media happened. But what kind of
video was it, by the way, if you don't mind me asking?
It was just it was a funny video. It was me and some of my friends on a beach in Hawaii, actually, from the first time I lived here. And we were all like being stupid and like inchworming on the beach, which is where you like kind of face plant in the sand and stick your butt up in the air and then shove your face forward. And then I found a clip of David Attenborough narrating sea turtle migrations, and I just like took a clip of him talking about that over it. So it was funny. It was just a funny video, which I think just worked because I think humor videos often have like the highest potential for being viral on social media.
True.
But either way, that happened. It was a very interesting experience. But the outcome of that was now I had 4 or 5 people from my life that had started either ministries or nonprofits or businesses. And they were like, hey, we need someone who knows what they're doing with social media. Yeah. We've seen you really crush it in the last little while. Like, would you be interested in doing this? And so I put together like 4 contracts that I was being offered. And I was like, dang, I'll be making like almost twice what I make at my corporate job. And so I talked with my wife for a little bit about like, is this the right thing? And she's like, yeah, like if you believe in your abilities here, I think you should go for it, which was so amazing of her to support that.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I quit that job, and that ended up kind of paving the path for us to move back out to Hawaii, which had been a dream for a while. And so, yeah, quit that job, started doing freelancing, and then moved to Hawaii. So, yeah, very life changing.
That's crazy. Okay, so yeah, just summing it up, right? Like you go on this trip, which is just amazing. I think nature is just such a great resetter, right?
Yep.
I mean, for the RV for me, it's like anytime I really need a good reset, like I'll go to somewhere remote in the Colorado mountains, where
Yeah,
you're just away from people, or maybe there's a few campsites or something. But there's something about it, man. Just getting out there, sweating a bit, doing something hard, and then being with
yes.
family, with friends. Mm,
Seriously, life
yeah.
changing. Like that
Yeah.
alone, even if I hadn't done any of these challenges or anything like that, like it's such a huge bump in just your brain's ability to process your happiness, your energy. It's just so healing.
Yeah, and I think that's something important that I picked up on, and I think hopefully for the listeners too, is if you have that feeling inside of you, right? Like if you're praying about it, because I think you were saying that earlier of, I didn't quite know like what it was, but I knew that there was something there that I really need to think about or to take seriously, right? Because I think that's sometimes what we do in this world with constant distraction and we're constantly being entertained, almost numbed to death in a way inside. You're talking about
Totally.
your job, but like just the sprawl of it all, right? The not just the job, but just the constant bombardment of watch this, do that, all this stuff, and then just to get out with your family and do that, man. I love it.
Yeah,
It's great.
it was really special.
Yeah, and then just hanging on to it and then actually making like a plan and
Hmm.
then following through on that plan.
Yep.
And then the 30-day thing, what I took away from that is you just did these things and you're like, hey, like, this is actually kind of fun. Or hey, I can see like some results. And
Hmm.
I just kept doing it.
Yep. Totally. Yeah, I think a truth that I've found with that specific experiment and like several that I've done since then is like the things that you do to create a healthy environment inside of your body, inside of your soul, inside of your mind
Mm,
is so important. And I think it's important to do those things before you try to solve all your problems or like achieve some massive goal, or especially with creativity. Like if you want to write a great blog, if you want to write a great book, if you want to create something beautiful, like getting the right ingredients together first is so important. And so I think it's like I've just learned that my brain is so much more useful when I first do the little things that are going to kind of clean it up, help my brain like have all the little chemicals it needs or whatever to like function correctly. Yeah, and often that has to do with nature and what you're eating and how you're moving your body.
yeah, and even that digestion part, I think that hits home for me because I remember finding out in college I was lactose intolerant, and that kind of broke my heart for a bit.
Oh,
Uh,
I would be so devastated.
I know. I think I had one of those. I went to CSU, so hey, we got a CU and a CSU guy talking. Like,
Oh, look at
look at
us
that.
repairing some
Yes,
rivalries.
yes, we're healing Colorado.
Yeah, we
Uh,
are.
but I remember it was like the freshman year, the dorm halls. You got like just you can get whatever food you want pretty much. And I remember I think I filled up this huge just ice cream cone just full of like vanilla ice cream, right?
Yeah.
Smashed it. And then later that day, my stomach was I was in so much pain. I'm just like, what is wrong with me? And then my mom's like
Oh,
in nursing. She's like, I think you might have an intolerance,
sounds
and
like it.
I'll eat cheese sometimes. I think I just try to get like higher quality stuff. And typically that's okay. And then gluten sometimes
Yep.
gets me too. But
Yep.
like when you're talking about it, right? When you start eating cleaner, you start working out more, your body feels better, you're getting better sleep. I think sometimes, and I'm guilty of it too, right? We somehow think that, hey, we can kind of push that stuff aside. I sometimes call it mad scientist mode when I get really creative, and it's like, hey, like remember to get some good sleep. Remember to eat right because you might have like these great ideas or whatever, but eventually, like you're gonna get tired and you're not gonna feel as great, and then you're not
Mm,
gonna be as creative or maybe as creative as you can be because
100%.
you're like fighting that uncomfortableness almost.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Even like cleaning your house, I honestly think
Sure.
like if you're like, dang it, why do I never have motivation to go to the gym? Why do I never like do the things that I want to with work or execute things?
Mm,
It's like sometimes it's like literally just getting everything in your house in order, especially
right.
for me. Like if I can go clean my house and have a house that's like beautiful and feels inspiring to be in, all of a sudden it just feels so much more natural to like whip out your pair of running shoes or like grab a journal and like, I don't know. Do you think it is the setting things, like setting the foundation, that really make other habits much easier?
Yeah. Yeah, and talking about that too. So, definitely like before we wrap up the podcast and everything, wanted to dig in a little bit to just the ritual organics because from where the story's going chronologically, right? You get out of the sprawl, after having this big shift and transformation within you. You move to Hawaii, right? And you're surfing, you're on the beach realizing that the sun's pretty, heavy, and then
Yeah.
this idea comes up. So I guess walk us through that a little bit. So you have this idea with your wife, you're talking about it, like what were some of the maybe the struggles or forks in the road with that of just starting your, because that's a scary thing too, right? You're starting your own
Yeah.
business and getting into an industry, right? Where you were talking about the plastics industry earlier. I'm sure the sunscreen industry, is you know your brands,
Yeah.
and they're gonna be like, hey, who's this new guy and gal over here?
Yep. Yeah. Honestly, a lot of the motivation for starting this business, Ritual Organics, came from me having done freelance social media for about a year and a half.
Okay.
And I loved it. I was good at it. And at the same time, there's this very predictable level of churn that you start to realize where like people will work with you. And then even if you succeed, like let's say you get their platform to blow up, then all of a sudden it's like they've got this big platform, they have all these followers. They don't necessarily need you anymore because it can be actually much easier to keep growing once you've already got the momentum. And so I just consistently was getting hired. I was doing a pretty good job, and then I would get fired, and then I would like have to find new clients again. And so there was just this like huge fluctuation of like how much money I was making, and it just became very stressful. And honestly, I hit a breaking point in December 2020. What was it? December 2024, the end of 2024. I had four clients, or maybe three clients. I had three clients that I was working for that I was making great money with. All three of them were like, "Hey, we're going to re-up our contract with you beginning of 2025."
Mm.
And so I was kind of planning on having like a great 2025 with them. And then right at the end of 2024, all of them hit me up and were like, "Hey, actually, we can't keep doing this and we're going to go in a different direction." All at once, I
Oh,
went from having like a decent amount of revenue to like no, literally zero revenue. And at
wow.
the time, it was me and my friend Bailey who had like co-founded this, like, we're now doing more like a social media agency. And so we lost all this revenue. And so in the middle of that, we're like, okay, we might need to find jobs. We might need to like pivot and do something else. But we were also like seeing Gabs had started making her own sunscreen that had just been going on in the background. And we were like, we know we're good at social media. We know we're good at like getting brands to blow up. So why don't we just start a brand that we own and have that blow up? Because then we can't fire ourselves. And then we also get the outsized return of like having a successful product.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's kind of a lot of the reasoning was it's just like it's actually a much nicer business to own to have a product that sells really well than have a service that sells really well, because the service often has to be like you have to hire a team. If we wanted to continue to scale our freelance or our social media agency, we would have had to hire a bunch of video editors and product managers and would have had to do all kinds of like outbound marketing to try to get other people to hire us. And it just would have been exhausting. Whereas we've had a couple friends that we did social media for where they just had a product and it blew up and they've just been a one person entrepreneur and it's just like made great money for them. So anyway, I was attracted to the simplicity of that. And we started Ritual Organics. And yeah, it was like we had like a great start. You and so many other people were incredibly supportive right at the beginning. And then you kind of just get into like, you hit this huge bump at the beginning, and then it's like you have a sale every once in a while, and you try all the kinds of different things. Some kind of work, some kind of don't. And towards the end of 2025, I was like, okay, we haven't really had a ton of traction. Bailey ended up leaving because he has a baby. He actually had his second baby very
Oh,
recently.
congrats to him.
And we hadn't been able to pay ourselves anything out of Ritual Organics since we started it. And so he's like, okay, I'm going to go back to aerospace, which is like great because he's one of the smartest people that I know. He got an amazing job back in aerospace, but I'm like, okay, I can keep doing my freelance social media stuff. And I'm going to keep trying to see if I can make this Ritual Organics thing work. And yeah, basically at the beginning of this year, I pivoted my strategy from just talking about our product on social media and just kind of speaking directly to people that were maybe going to buy it to creating content that was more directed at getting affiliates to join our team. And that was like a massive breakthrough for us for whatever reason. I started just kind of advertising what commission we paid, advertising what it was like to be on our team, advertising like just our vision really and our story as a company. And for whatever reason, those videos just started doing insanely well. And we got actually hundreds of people to join us as affiliates and start posting about our products like every single day. So now we have like tons of videos every single day going out, and it's not just me posting about it, but it's literally hundreds of people posting about it. And that was enough momentum to kind of get us over the hump of like, okay, this product actually has some traction. The listing has traction. People are just starting to find us organically now. It's not just like a sale every once in a while. So that was huge. And yeah, now it's just like, okay, wow, we have a real business. This is going somewhere. I still have to figure out how to steward it well and do a lot of things that I've never done before, but it's a really fun adventure and I'm learning a lot.
That's cool. And I think it's like that adaptation, right? Because I think you were talking like TikTok was one of the mediums that you've used, right? And it's interesting because even like with TikTok, I don't know if you heard that beep. I'll make sure that doesn't happen. But even like with TikTok, there was a little bit of that uncertainty of where it was going, were they going to shut it down? I think it's now kind of this US kind of owns, I think the US TikTok. I don't know. It's just this whole thing.
Yeah.
But like just making the shift to be like, hey, let's get some people to help us make some social media videos about this. And
Yep.
that's like the new landscape, I think, when it
Yeah.
comes to it, is just people like using your product, using humor, whatever it is, maybe a fishing video or a kayaking video,
Yep.
that. And I think that's like the new medium where people see someone using it in real life and are like, oh yeah, like I trust that person that puts out that content. I want to try this out. That's pretty.
Yep. It's really cool. And yeah, TikTok is totally the platform because what I realized about it is that all of the tracking of like sales, all of the payments, all of the managing of affiliates, it all happens like on the TikTok platform. So it's
Mm,
all kind of like built into there. You don't need to use like another platform to manage all that, to do all the payouts. You don't need to do the payouts manually. It just all kind of happens in the background automatically. And then also like people, it's super easy to post like as an affiliate, you can post a video on TikTok and tag the product in your video. And just like anyone who buys through that tagged product in your video, you make commission on that. Whereas like if you do it on Meta, like people have to like go through a link in your bio and then enter a code from you. Like
right.
there's all these like kind of other hoops you have to jump through where it's just super seamless on TikTok. And the other like big mechanism that has been like a game changer for us is on TikTok, you can do this thing called a refundable sample, where if someone wants to become an affiliate with you, they can buy your product, but TikTok will guarantee them that if they generate just one sale for you, that you'll refund their order and then you'll pay them commission on top of that.
Oh,
And so essentially what that does is it protects me because I know like I'm not just going to be sending out a bunch of free samples to people that may or may not post about us, may or may not actually generate sales.
so
And it
true.
also protects the other person, the affiliate, because as long as they're willing to post 3 videos, 5 videos, 10 videos until they get a sale, they aren't going to have to pay for it. And it just like also creates a little bit of an incentive for them of like they've got some skin in the game, they've got some cash on the line, and they know that like they're not just going to make the $35 of buying the product back, but they're also going to make the commission. Like it just is a much bigger carrot on the end of the stick for them. And so yeah, rather than people getting a free sample, posting once about it, being like, that was great, I'm done. People will post 10 times, 20 times until they get that refund. And then once they get it, they're like, oh, cool, I also earned a commission. Maybe this is going to work. And then they just keep going. So it's an amazing growth mechanism. Like there's a reason TikTok Shop is like such a big deal. Like the more that I get to know it, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, this is genius. Like there's so many built-in incentives and seamless things that just make it so easy for the affiliates and for brands to grow.
Ah, I love that. That's great. That's awesome. So I know we're rounding things out, right?
Yep.
But I love this story too, man. Like it makes a lot of sense to where how you were describing just how your brain works, all that stuff to like where you're at now.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. It's really cool, and I'm proud of you guys. That's awesome. Just
Thanks,
pursue.
dude. Yeah, it was not clear that it was going to work out for a long time. And I think I'm proud of myself for sticking with it for over a year because there were definitely a lot of points like when you first started posting about us and supporting us, we were called Sun Tallow. And then we ended up finding out that there was another brand that, even though they were very small and not really doing anything, they were pissed that we called ourselves Sun Tallow because they had kind of called themselves Sun Tallow. So we ended up having to rebrand like 3 or 4 months, I think, into starting it. And that was expensive and time consuming and honestly embarrassing. It was just like, you just had to publicly announce, like, hey, we messed up. And like, that just sucks. It sucks to have random people find out about you and be pissed about you. Like, there was the gauntlet of all that. And then there was also the gauntlet of like, we're posting all the time. I'm making so many videos and we're really not generating very many sales. And so, yeah, it was just not clear the whole time that it was going to work out. But I think the thing that I'm proud about myself most for is just that, like, I just kept figuring it out. I guess just kept trying other things. And yeah, I'm really grateful that we're getting the traction that we are now.
That's great. And yeah, so like for someone listening right now, I mean, like what would you say to someone that feels stuck?
Yeah, I would say really what we were talking about earlier is like asking yourself, like, what's the environment that I'm in? What are the environmental factors that are contributing to like the way your brain is feeling, the way your body's feeling, the way things are going in your life? Obviously, I write a blog about friendship, and I do think like that quote, like, you are kind of the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I think that's really true. Yeah, and I think like I kind of got that idea of kind of hitting reset and going out into nature to sort of like rethink a lot of things in your life. I
Mm.
got that idea from listening to an Andrew Huberman podcast where he was interviewing Tim Ferriss, who Tim Ferriss is like, I mean, both of those guys are my heroes.
Yeah,
But
got
Tim
good
Tim
podcast.
Ferriss has a really cool practice of like going out into the wilderness and like dry fasting for like 4 days up to a week, where literally just camp in a tent and not eat, not drink anything for a week, which is absolutely savage. But
That is savage.
he just has a really cool practice of like hitting reset like that. And I think I took some of that energy into this backpacking trip that I went on and took that as an opportunity to sort of reinvent a lot of things in my life. And it had a way bigger impact than I thought it would. So I guess I would just say, like, yeah, definitely utilize nature and disconnecting from your phone and just really detoxing from all the crazy things that are like hacked into our dopamine right now. It's become a new normal, and I think a lot of us feel like it's very normal, but once you get out and have some space and let your brain kind of breathe a little bit, there's so much rewiring that can happen that can really be life changing.
Mm. Yeah, and I think like looking in the future, asking the question again about personal freedom. So let's just say look in the future, like 5, 10, 15 years. What does personal freedom mean to you?
Mm. Yeah, I think it means to continue living a meaningful life and not losing sight of the big picture. Like, I think especially just today with all the ways we can compare and contrast ourselves to people online, like, there's a temptation to feel like it's about money or it's about like where you live or how much you travel and all those things. But I really just think, yeah, those deeper, more foundational spiritual things of like, do you love the people that you get to spend time with in life? Do you love yourself? Do you have a connection with God? Do you have a relationship with God? Do you have a purpose in life? Are you trying to live a net surplus life where you're giving more than you're
Mm.
receiving? I think freedom really comes in the awareness of those things and in the here and the now. And I think as long as freedom is something that you feel like is only in tomorrow, it's only in if I hit that next goal, if I'm able to buy that car, live in that house, do all those things, I think that's a bit of a trap. And so I think, yeah, I think a lot of freedom is just like sitting on a couch in the morning and just connecting with God, because I think like in that moment you realize like you have everything you need. You're already where you want to be. Yeah, and then the rest is just kind of a fun game. It's all just you getting to enjoy the rest of it. But I think I've just been learning a lot about just being present to what's true, to where I'm at, and to God.
Well said, man. Yeah, we'll close it out here. One thing I do when I have another Christian on is we can end in prayer if you'd like. Uh,
Yes, dude.
you want to pray us out, and then we'll finish this up?
Dude, I would love to.
All
Wow,
right.
what a cool invitation.
Yeah, I sometimes
Um,
I remember to tell the guest before, and I say,
yeah.
"Hey," and then sometimes, like today, I'm like, "Hey," but I haven't gotten a no yet. And then if there is hesitance, then I'll pray. So it's kind
Yeah,
of
dude, that's awesome. No, I would love to. Yeah. Yeah. So, God, I just pray for all these people listening to this podcast right now that you would just instill a sense of just worthiness and belonging and just your delight in them right now. I just pray that they would just be able to finally challenge those voices in their head that just say that they are not enough, that they're not capable, that they're not strong enough, that they're failures, that they're never going to be able to live a good and beautiful life. And yeah, I just pray that you would dispel those lies and just instill in them such a deep peace, such a deep knowing of your choice of them, your choosing of them, your delight in them. And that, yeah, they would just be able to be present to that and sit in that. God, I just pray against this like crazy incoming tide of distraction and of addiction and of all the things that are pulling us away from one another, pulling us away from you. And I just ask that you would continue to raise up leaders that, like Mac, that are fighting that good fight of remaining spiritually grounded, of remaining faithful to a life that's bigger than just feeling pleasure as much as we can until we die. Yeah, we just pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. John, well said, sir. Thanks for being on the Personal Freedom Podcast.
It's such a joy, man.
Right on, sir. Well, hey, we'll make
Cool.
sure to link to all your businesses, Ritual Organics for sure. Go check
Cool.
it out. Great product. I wear it when I go fishing on the kayak, when I'm walking the dogs. It's great stuff. And it's good for you. It's good for the skin. Make
That's
it
the goal,
glow, right?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mac.
All right, everybody. Have a great day, morning, night, whenever you're listening, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.